Thanks, Morgan. Great. Well, I'm glad everyone here and have everyone here. And I just want to take quick polls. How many people feel they already have enough email addresses on their list? Okay. I didn't think so. So what we want to do here is talk about some strategies and techniques for that you may not have heard of for acquiring new subscribers. Anyway, so we have great panelists out here, and I want to just maybe go down the line and if you guys could give a quick introduction of what your business is and how you guys are acquiring subscribers today.
I'll start.
Sure, go ahead.
My name is Kelly Briggs. Hello. Hope everyone's doing well. With the Dallas Stars, small little hockey team you might have heard of. The corporate communications manager, and I'm in charge of all email strategy and all email everything. As far as, what was the question? How are we acquiring?
Yeah, so how are you acquiring subscribers today?
Oh man, all kinds of ways. Social media, on-site registration. A large portion of our email database is season ticket holders, so I'll get into that in a little bit.
I'm Chris Epper from Payway Asian Diner, part of P.F. Chang's. We sell a lot of Asian food. You know, we're very fortunate because we do have the four walls. We do have the brick and mortar. It's retail. We can convert a lot of our consumers from the in-restaurant experience to both the email database as well as our online ordering and e-commerce. So those two fronts are kind of our big priorities where we focus a lot of our efforts.
Hi, everybody. I'm Greg Martz from the Motley Fool. The Fool is about 20 years old. I've been with it for 14 years, so I've seen a lot of transformations in it. I wanted to comment on one thing from the past panel, if I could. Someone mentioned if or how you have a seat at the email table. We're amongst friends here, so I just want to say at the Fool, and hopefully everywhere else here, we built that damn table, and we deserve to be at that table. We built the four walls that table sits in. And so, you know, we belong at that table. In terms of acquisition for us, our funnel is pretty straightforward. Drive traffic, collect an email address, sell a front-end service, and then hopefully to a portion of that sell a back-end service. So we're not unique in terms of the funnel, but we think we're unique in terms of how we program and position content and incentives, what types of incentives we offer, and then also the long-range value proposition that the Motley Fool provides to individual investors. And we'll get into some of those topics soon.
Hey everyone, Justin Orgel, Experian Marketing, and essentially we are working with a lot of different clients. Me specifically, our group works with a handful of top 100 retailers, so our group considers ourselves kind of an extension of the marketing team there. And generally focused on email, but now a lot more into the different channels. My background is more in the other channels, less about email, so I've kind of been pushing our clients to, from an acquisition standpoint, look at those other channels and challenge those people. From a retail perspective, I'd say the two most exciting things that are happening or that we have an opportunity to optimize in retail is in-store and really improving that customer experience, as well as looking at channels like Facebook and leveraging custom audiences and Facebook Exchange to leverage existing customer data as well as Experian data to go out and target those people.
Following in on that, Justin, I mean, can you tell us a little more about what is Facebook custom audiences?
Sure, yeah. So essentially Facebook, I would say, I don't know, it was like, I don't know how familiar you guys are with this, probably 9 months ago or so, released the ability to do targeting and matching. So custom audiences is actually pretty self-explanatory because you're actually creating a custom audience to target on Facebook. It's a Facebook ad product. So you can take CRM data from your own file, information such as phone number and email address, and you can match that up anonymously within Facebook and then target those people. So, you know, a lot of times our clients are doing basic Facebook ad campaigns, which I think a lot of people know don't necessarily get a very high click rate. So we're actually leveraging a lot of the email data and then customer information and targeting those people on Facebook. So I guess one interesting example might be a email client that has, let's say, 1 million fans on Facebook and 500,000 people on their email list. And so let's find those 500,000 people in between. Usually the match rate is 50% plus, at least in the experience that I've done it. So Facebook is basically a mini version of the internet. There's a lot of people there, a lot of people to find, a lot of information. So you can go out and find, for example, those people. You can exclude people that are already on your email list and find people that with the differences between the fans. And then you can also do other types of targeting on top of that, which is kind of cool. Other stuff you can do as well, which I think is cool, is layering on Experian data. So I think one of the unique positions of Experian is that we have a database called Consumer View, which is essentially like a marketing database with almost everyone in the population and a lot of different attributes. So you can take data points from Experian that Facebook might not have and match Facebook data and targeting, like gender, demographics, location, that kind of stuff. Match that with layered Experian data and then your own customer data, and you can get really targeted, especially with acquisition.
Great. Kelly, you mentioned social as well. I mean, what is the Dallas Stars doing in that respect?
Well, with social media, I mean, you really have a built-in fan base to begin with, and I think the difference between social media and email is that within social media, you're kind of driving the ship more so than you would be if you're receiving email. I mean, we're sending the information to the subscriber via email, whereas on social media, there's more of a conversation and interaction in that regard. So with social media, I think it's a great place to tap for subscribers, obviously, because you have that built-in fan following. So it's really important to do the cross-promotion there within email and social media. Whether you're, an example of some things that we've done is we've provided social media ticket offers on Facebook that then link back with an email, and we gain more subscribers that way. So we provide kind of, yeah, it has been. It's kind of that special incentive for utilizing that space. So I think there's a way as well to be able to link back to social media within the email. That way you're keeping the conversation going between both avenues. So.
Is there any, how would you characterize the difference between like a social media follower versus an email subscriber? How's it from their perspective?
From a fan perspective, the diehard fans are going to be on social media, talking about how much they can't stand the Bruins or whoever, which if anybody's a Bruins fan, they're great. No offense. There's just more of that emotional interaction. I think that, that they feel more in control of what they're receiving, the information that they're receiving. If you don't want to hear about something, you can block it from your feed. So I think that it's a different kind of interaction because the consumer is more in control on Facebook, whereas when you're receiving an email, you're receiving the email. You're not really capable of manipulating the information that's in the email. I mean, it's already there. So,
does anyone else have anything to add on social?
I would just echo what Kelly's saying. I'm a sports fan. I'm an Orioles fan, so don't talk to me about Red Sox or Yankees, please. And I started following the Orioles and then specific players on the Orioles, which led me to subscribe to email, which led me to ticket offers and going to more games. I mean, it's pretty straightforward stuff.
I guess going in a different direction, so social is a way to drive people to your site or to your email list. On the other side would be attracting people in. Greg, you mentioned about content. What is the Fool doing in that respect?
Sure. So we have a flagship website, Fool.com, and for the past several years, traffic has been steady, but that's good and bad. you want it to go up. So we were trying to figure out how do we grow traffic but keep the quality up. A lot of folks come to the Fool not to answer what, but Amazon reported earnings, and they hit the top line, but it was mixed on the bottom line, for example. They want the so what and now what. And it's hard to scale that. There's only so many quality writers that we can hire full-time. And so what we created about 18 months ago was the Motley Fool Blog Network. And we reached out to, we always get folks inquiring about writing. We have a heritage of community with the Motley Fool. We were on AOL back in 1993 and 1994 with community. And so, and there's a ton of folks out there that are passionate about investing, that are good writers. And in the first year, the blog network doubled traffic. And we were blown away by that. We didn't think that was going to happen. In the last 3 months, it has tripled from the original number, which has led us to being, in March, I think it was, the third highest investing site on the web. So we're up there against the big boys now. And traffic, we don't want just traffic, right? It's not 1999 anymore. We want to acquire email addresses. We call it email capture, or ECAPs. And the ECAP conversion rate has held steady for that traffic. Investing news on the web is very ticker driven. You're looking for very specific information on a stock. And so it's an incredibly long tail. There's only so many articles you can write about Apple. But there's an incredible amount of other content that folks that are interested in either biotech or manufacturing or media, and they can write about that, and there are investors out there looking for that specific information. We get them to read that content, and then we acquire them through various incentives, which we can also talk about.
Yeah. I'll just add for TowerData, you know, we're a B2B site, so and in the this year we've been adding a lot more content on our own site in terms of ebooks and white papers, and our metrics, just in terms of conversion, in terms of getting people to acquire new email addresses, has grown almost 100% compared to last year. Again, sort of driven by that content that we put. But I want to switch over then, you know, sort of another avenue, which probably we wouldn't have been talking about in terms of acquisition a few years ago, is mobile. And, you know, be interested to hear, Chris, from Payway's, have you guys been using mobile, and what have you been able to do there?
Yeah, over the years, Payway and PF Chang's has been very much more of an organic growth of our email database. As we've seen that kind of slow down, and we've converted a good percentage of those customers coming into our restaurants on an annual basis, you know, we really looked to test a couple things. We tried QR codes. We found out it was kind of more of a niche community. So then we said, well, you know, we got this high adoption rate of mobile, a lot of people using it, everyone's texting, it's huge. How can we kind of leverage that? The high engagement in the restaurant, they're actively in there, they're interacting with the brand, they're experiencing it. How can we connect those two and provide them an instant sign-up process? So we worked with our email vendor, Exact Target, and actually tapped into one of their programs, which was using shared short codes and the availability to actively recruit on the spot in our restaurants. We're very fortunate enough at Payway to have digital menu boards, so we can actively change those within a couple of minutes. So we've kind of integrated that now into ongoing campaigns and say, you know, let's not make that recruitment wallpaper, but how do we really attach that to those specific campaigns, whether that's an offer or relying more on content. We've tapped into our consumers and said, you know, that they have high affinities towards recipes, videos, insider information, details about the food. So it's, you know, how can we both deliver offers, deliver unique content, but also actively recruit those guests coming into our restaurant and provide that one-to-one communication. At this point, it's been very much more of a conversion tactic to get those guests from in-restaurant into our database. But some of the future things we're looking at are, you know, how do we leverage that group now and actively go out and talk to them? You know, restaurants are very much about occasion, being real time, communicating to people. We call it the hunger hour, so right before they're deciding where to eat, whether that's lunch or dinner. And we think mobile really helps us tap into that and be able to actively, in real time, communicate to that group.
What sort of incentive are you giving to the people coming into your restaurant to actually surrender their mobile number, and is the conversion rate there higher or lower than it would be for asking for an email address?
Sure. Typically, we align it to our menu LTOs, so we have about 3 of those a year. It's really the new news in our restaurant, the new flavors, new dish for guests to try. A lot of it is the build-up before we launch that dish, so leveraging that news and getting the excitement around it, and the opportunity to get an offer. We've tried it both ways, saying you'll get a special offer, as well as just explicitly telling them what the offer is. And typically it's a, buy one, get one free. We've tried percentage offs, free entrees, but we feel that kind of fits in the right area. And really the growth has been about between 5 to 10% increase in list size with each campaign we do. So it's very successful and has helped us continue to grow and improve the size of that list.
Mm-hmm. And you mentioned QR codes and a few other things. And anything else been effective for you guys?
We've tried QR codes. Like I said, it's a multi-step process, and it's just a cute way of putting a link to your website. So it was multi-steps, and we said, how can we take out all the middleman and just have an instant, text your email to this code and you're done, you're in. So it was really breaking down the barriers to sign up. And providing an easy, direct way to join our email list.
Tom, just a note on mobile. For us, it's now 30% of traffic, really? Which you can't ignore that anymore. We've learned that a typical offer of a free investing report from the Motley Fool is too broad for the mobile user. They are all Motley Fool visitors are task-oriented, but on mobile they are incredibly task-oriented, down to the ticker. So if we present them an offer on cloud computing, for example, they're not going to take that unless it is very specific to their ticker. So our product catalog is only about 15. That's not going to cut it on mobile. So we've developed ticker reports that if you're reading a story, again on Apple, we're going to present an incentive for a free report on Apple. If it's on cloud computing, folks aren't going to give us their email address.
So basically they're just more task focused or a very specific type of information.
That's right, especially when your connectivity is as bad as it is here. Ouch. Cellular, not.
Kelly, and you guys actually obviously have a stadium and people walking in. What tactics are you guys using there in your physical location to capture email addresses?
Never underestimate the power of a Koozie, people. Man, that's a powerful little drink holder.
Go Stars.
Go Stars! I should just drop the mic and walk out. Everybody likes, who doesn't like something for nothing? But it is something because you're gaining information and you're gaining an email address and you're gaining that connection. So it is great because we do have a lot of on-site interaction, tons of giveaways as far as jerseys or koozies or pucks or whatever it is. And that's worked really well for us. As far as building list growth. So,
would you at the stadium, for example, try to get people more to follow you as a fan on social media, or really try to capture that email address? Do you see maybe social as a bridge to getting the email?
Absolutely. I think that they're both really successful as far as gaining information. I think the sports fan is just by nature a lot more interactive on social media. Twitter and Facebook are really going to be the places where they go to voice their opinion and have that back and forth with each other. And again, kind of speaking to what I was talking about earlier, it is a great place to integrate with email, to be able to drive to the website or push out the newsletter via Twitter or however, so that it's getting more visibility.
Okay, we talked a little about traffic, and now you got to actually convert people, get them to actually surrender that email address. Justin, from your perspective, what would be the most effective way to do that, or what's the most compelling in terms of getting people to surrender their email address?
So I think there's a couple different examples because I work with a lot of different brands. So just to touch on mobile, because I didn't chime in there. So I think there's a few things that are working well in the traditional retail space, which is really optimizing the people that walk into your store. So we recently launched a campaign with Last Call by Neiman Marcus, and essentially just sending an SMS with your email address, you get an offer immediately, and then you're onboarded within their welcome program. So I think, Bass Pro, another client, is doing that as well and having a lot of success, not just at point of sale, but within the store. I think Urban Outfitters has done some stuff in the dressing room. So, a place where you're kind of hanging out for a few minutes and you have that time. So really just optimizing the people that walk into the store. And then as far as other kind of mobile things, I think it's not always about the email address. So I guess an example here would be one of my favorite clients is Comedy Central, and they are a huge social brand, and they do a great job with social. So we do a lot of campaigns with them that are focused on driving people to download their brand app. So whether it's Colbert or Daily Show, those kind of things, it's a lot of email driving people to social and kind of looking at it a little bit differently, and they see a ton of interaction and consumption on their apps and as well as online in the social channels. So, and then as far as your question about onboarding, was that the original?
Well, I guess, just sort of like, is it about the offer, or is it about the design,
I mean, I think, online, it's pretty straightforward. Yeah, you can test all these different things and treat people differently, but I think we're at the point now where people are smart enough, if they're interested in your brand, then they'll sign up for it. I don't really, I don't really care about getting like 10% off personally. I know that works for some people, and some brands and stuff can be treated differently, but we've tested if they're a past purchaser, not giving them an offer or giving them, a bounce back type of thing. So I think it really varies, but I think we have reached that point where it's fairly easy and you don't have to be too tricky.
How about you, Greg? What are you offering to visitors in exchange for signing up?
I don't know if people still say this, content is king. I don't know if that, but for us it's actionable content is certainly king. So like I was talking about, we try to answer the so what and now what. Investors, individual investors who self-direct their portfolios, they want an edge. And we try to tap into what their motivations are, whether you've heard of fear and greed, but for us it's also aspirations. What are they trying to do? Is it financial freedom? Is it to send a grandchild to college? What is it? And trying to tap into those motivations of our visitors and then provide them an incentive which will allow us to capture their email address. I mean, that exchange of value is pretty simple. It's an email address for a free investing report. That sounds like a good idea. But what we're really capturing is a tremendous amount of other data. What article they read, what time of day, what day of week they came, what free investing report did they read, did they read it, did they open the email that we sent them. I suppose that's all big data, and there's a lot of vendors in here, ours included, that talk about big data. As marketers, we get it. We have to deal with big data. I was at a conference about a month ago, though, and so this, I don't attribute it to me, but one of the speakers says, I'm paraphrasing, who gives a crap about big data if you don't get the small data right? And so we try to focus on, those are points of information that we know. We better put that to use. Now, it might not be the real-time and automated fashion, which we do, but that small data that we have on you, and, not just that email address, but what content you're reading, what copy worked, when did you open the email, etc. That's the stuff that's really powerful, and it's really the low-hanging fruit of big data.
Talking about offering things, so you mentioned, Kelly, you give away the Koozie. I mean, but what quality of subscriber do you get from that? Is given that kind of incentive, does that really help? Is it worthwhile?
It does, yes. I mean, ultimately, if you're gaining contact, then you have that opportunity, even if they aren't a diehard fan, to speak to them and convert them. Yes, there is some unsubscribes that occur, but you still have the overall bigger number that you do gain. And so, I mean, there is list growth, and list growth is never bad. So even if you have those few unsubscribes, you still have that opportunity to speak to somebody who may not have listened to what you had to say originally. So,
What do other people think? Is no subscriber a bad subscriber? I mean, or is there any type of subscribers you really wouldn't want on your list?
You know, personally, and I've seen some trends now, it's very direct. You could send an email and say, you know, here's our group of Laps users. Do you want to be a part of this or not? You know, and I think it's just understanding the quality versus quantity. You know, quantity is a big thing, but you know, are you wasting your time on a certain part of them? You know, is it that what you're sending is just not relevant? You know, we go back to talking about the small data and how that can drive actionable tactics to certain groups. But I think it's really understanding that piece of it. You know, and if there's a certain percentage that just signed up once, you know, for retail, it's, you know, at a restaurant space, you're giving offers periodically throughout the year. They're short term. They're small incentives. So I would say we have a certain group that are those deal seekers, and you know, we know that they're a separate group. We know we're going to get them occasionally when we do offers, but it's really understanding how those are different from the more engaged groups, that you can deliver more unique content that doesn't necessarily have to be a discount.
I do think the old mantra, garbage in, garbage out, does apply, though. We've shied away from sweepstakes or even co-registration. They just didn't convert, and being direct marketers, that hits us if there's a certain cost per lead and the lifetime value doesn't play out. But that isn't to suggest that certain loyalty or affinity type of things work. You'd be amazed at what a Motley Fool baseball cap does. It says Fool across it, and people love to wear it. We have a lot of wonderful fans of the Fool. Whether that's on the loyalty side or on the acquisition side, but those certainly work. But it's got to be quality list growth, of course.
I think one thing is just that we should point out here and maybe open up the discussion to is more about respecting the channel preference, because you know, we've been doing a lot of looking at a lot of attribution, and especially in the retail space. For example, like with me, like I get J.Crew emails. I've never clicked an email and bought something through an email ever, but I'll go into the store. So, you know, we're looking at a lot of like even just people that are getting the emails, is that influencing a purchase? There's also a recent study that Facebook did with Datalogix that was kind of cool, that looked at kind of the effect of brand advertising on Facebook, and showcasing kind of just seeing something in your news feed, has that influence a purchase thereafter without actually clicking and engaging. Obviously, Facebook's trying to make a play for that, getting those brand dollars. But I think there's definitely been a lot of cases where we've seen in the email channel lower engagement, but then more engagement across other channels, and we've kind of, and that's the big challenge, obviously, but we've really been trying to do the linkage there and trying to understand that. So I think that's a key piece of this discussion as well.
In terms of cross-channel, how integrated Chris, Kelly, are you guys in terms of marrying offline with your online?
You know, for us, we see an opportunity with social as being a low barrier to following us. Some of the barriers we see on the online side, because we have online order, are creating an account, so that comes with a password and some other data points that if you're new to the brand, you not necessarily want to take that time and fill that out and, you know, remember your password. So we see some opportunities in breaking down those barriers of that first touch point, whether that's on our website and it's just a single email entry, or if it's converting people through Facebook. It takes a simple like. You can tap into their friends and can kind of grow organically within that. But then it's also understanding, how do you get percentages of that Facebook group to go into your list? And I think that's where Justin was saying, you know, you compare the two with some of the new tools within Facebook and understand how those overlaps, you know, but it's really keeping an eye on that and actively managing it and converting within those spaces.
Well, I think just from a fan perspective, again, like I said earlier, I mean, social media really is our main engagement, so we're kind of the opposite, but yeah.
Earlier you mentioned you have, you know, sort of two audiences. You have the fans and you have the season ticket holders. How do you go after those segments differently?
Quite differently, actually. With season ticket holders, there's kind of a level of exclusivity that comes with that. They like to feel that, you know, they're more exclusive, and they are. I mean, they're monetarily committed as well as emotionally committed. So the emails that go out to the season ticket holders are going to be different content, more exclusive content, speaking kind of different language to them, as opposed to just the fan. The Insider is an email that goes out to just our general fan database, and it will provide more information about maybe game information. It's more general content. And we're actually looking into, with the next season, really filtering down the season ticket holder database as well, and segmenting that out by, you know, are they a full season ticket holder? Are they a partial season ticket holder? Do they, you know, are they a season ticket holder of 6 games? And giving different language to each of those, speaking differently to each of those groups.
Greg, you know, I know for the full, you try to get people's email address, and then you're trying to upsell them on premium content. I mean, so you some ways have a 2-step conversion. I mean, what are you doing once you've got that initial email address to really become the customer?
Yes, that's right. So it is 2-step marketing. One of our homegrown systems used to be called Foxtrot, which 2-step. So how do we convert them once we've got their email address? Some of you may be subscribers to the Motley Fool free side. Our emails, back in the day, if you printed them out, they would have been 20 to 25 pages long. So we go against a lot of the best practices. What we're trying to do is tell a story. Again, tap into those motivations of aspirations, or if it's greed and fear, and try to make a connection. About 2 years ago, we tested what we call video, but it's basically just audio over a slideshow. Those tend to be 45 minutes long. And, you know, in this world where we don't have much attention span, those did 3x what the long-form emails did. Now that is trending off, so we are actively, and it's one of the reasons I'm here, actively looking for the next great email innovation. But we really need to tell a story, not just sell, hey, you know, these are our returns on Motley Fool Stock Advisor, our flagship service. We really have to tap into what that motivation is of the individual investor. For us, our copywriters are our all-stars. We have a copywriter development program. They are our true stars. It is an incredible art. I think they're born, not made. That's really how we get, once we have that email address, tell a story and get them to subscribe to premium service.
Going back to actual lead capture, you know, there's, I think, a debate people have of like how many fields to have on the form in terms of how much data to ask. I'd be curious to hear, Chris, you know, what your experience has been on that.
Yeah, we went into it when we originally started our email database with gather as much data as possible so we can drive action immediately. What we found is that, like I said earlier, was a big barrier to sign up. And what we've seen right now is we've made some good efforts towards it by minimizing those requested or required fields at the sign-up process, but making it as simple as possible, I think, is key. You are signing this person up with the intent of a long relationship, so those steps and those follow-ups are there, and I think it gives you a reason to follow up down the road, which brings in some relevancy with the content you're delivering. You know, what we look like, what we try to focus on is kind of a set time frame of an onboarding, so 30 days, and we say, you know, how do we get them into the system the easiest, whether that's an initial touch point through Facebook and convert them over, or through our website, and then how do we follow up from there? So it's you know, scheduling out welcome emails. It's following up and saying, hey, have you tried our online ordering since you've gone in store? So it's understanding those key touch points and how we can convert them into other forms of our program, whether that's during the holidays and gift cards, or whether it's we have a new entree, or, you know, hey, did you know we have gluten-free, to kind of get some more ideas out there and spread word of mouth. But it's really, for us, it's creating that ease of entry and then following up with relevant content and kind of segmenting them from there so that we can drive actionable campaigns down the road.
Yeah, for TowerData as well, on our own capture forms, we've sort of adopted some progressive profiling where on the first form, it's really just email, name, company, and then if they end up downloading additional content, throw in another question, industry, size of your email list, and we found that effective as a way to capture the email address at the upfront, but some additional information down the road. In terms of form design or just lead, anyone else have anything to add here?
Yeah, I think we still see a lot of the site cookie-based site pop-ups, which I think from clients that I've worked with, we've tested it and it's done really well, but it kind of gets exhausting. And it's nice to do the smaller percentage of people that hit the site to get it, so without rolling it out fully to everyone that hits the site. But I think like Estee Lauder, for example, they do a nice job of doing more category-based pop-ups. So if you've clicked a few times within the site experience, then you might get something based on like, lotion or something like that. Kiehl's and some of their brands are doing that. I think that's a little bit, less intense. I think Abercrombie does a nice job too, and Lilly Pulitzer. Those are two brands that are not doing essentially as invasive as like a pop-up when you get there, but really just kind of something at the top that you can just click out of really easily. Yeah, you can, again, as you said before, just put your email address, or there's an option to put some other data points, but it's not required. So I think as far as that kind of thing, that works well. In store though, and just on acquisition in general, I think we've really been trying to optimize the people that are interested. So I think I was talking to Allison about this last night from Barnes & Noble about the Container Store. You go into the Container Store, you make a purchase, and when you're on the little thing, it asks you if you want to sign up for email. I mean, it's pretty standard, pretty basic, but not that many people are doing it, and you'd be surprised that I'm surprised that not that many people are doing it. So we're trying to push a lot of retailers to really just be smarter about, if someone goes into your store, makes a purchase, send them a very intelligent stream thanking them, as I think we talked about earlier with Talbot's, thank them, maybe segment an offer based off of average order value, something like that. But really just kind of optimizing people that are interested. I think e-receipts is another big thing there, which is there's a great opportunity, as well as even just on-site purchase with getting people to sign in for more promotional emails if they've made a purchase.
And I mean, how are you, in terms of, obviously the people out there are just being bombarded with requests for their email address. I mean, so what are you guys doing in terms of making a distinctive process or stand out from the competition, and really, if someone's not have a dedicated interest of like, I want, say a ticker report, how are you bringing people in and standing out from the crowd?
Well, one thing we've tested in the last 6 months is push a lot of the content in front of whatever wall it may be. And so instead of interrupting a process where someone's trying to learn about investing in options and doing it the foolish way, we've pushed a lot of video content and interactive content on what options are about, how to use them effectively and foolishly, before even asking for an email address. And so it further engages the person, sees if they're interested, sort of qualifies them too once they get to a sign-up page. That was incredibly effective for us. We did that for our most recent Motley Fool Options opening. Much higher quality list, and I don't remember the number, but we were very pleased with how it turned out from the prior year's opening of Motley Fool Options. In terms of a landing page or a sign-up page itself, ours tend to be very Spartan. We sort of take the Google homepage approach. Don't let them think twice before entering that email address. Provide them what the value exchange is going to be, and ask them for that email address. Again, behind the scenes, all the other metadata and quality data that we're collecting on them will help sort of paint the picture versus collecting and providing more fields on before you hit submit.
Obviously, we want to get new subscribers on our list, but there's a lot of attrition that happens. So there's this post-acquisition process. I'd be interested to hear some best practices in terms of retaining those people. Once they've immediately given you your email address, what are you guys doing to keep them engaged, make them happy that they're on the list?
I think for a lot of the clients that I work with, we definitely have them suppress them from immediately receiving tons of promotional messages, which is pretty common with retailers, and put them into a welcome stream that essentially mimics the cadence of their normal promotional stream, and depending on trying to make it as dynamic and relevant as possible. So whether they went into the store and made a purchase, maybe you won't give them an offer until later on. Maybe you will give someone that hasn't made a purchase an offer on the second or third email. Really depends on the brand, but really making it more personalized and getting them engaged and really showing the value of your program in the beginning. One of our clients, Barney's, does a really nice 5-part welcome series that kind of showcases within each email what is the value of actually being on their list and kind of driving that home, and then kind of pours you into their normal cadence. So I think just kind of having a nice welcome stream can kind of kick it off nicely.
Yeah, and a lot of things that we do at Payway, especially when we're opening a new restaurant, is a new guest survey. So it's instantly creating that one-to-one communication and getting feedback from them. So it's opening up our doors and saying, hey, how was your experience? How did it go? And that is like an initial touch point, having a brand want to receive that, whether it's negative or positive. It really goes a long ways in creating that relationship and helping set that up for success in the long term. And it's something as we continue to grow that we're actively, specifically with new stores, because we see a lot of value in the time it takes to onboard a lot of those new consumers into our database, and we feel that survey and opening up that communication is key to accelerating that in the early months of a new restaurant.
Mm-hmm. We're just about out of time, so just like go down the row here, and if you had one tip or suggestion for the audience of something new to try in terms of email acquisition, what would you recommend, Kelly?
Something new. Jeez, no pressure. Again, I mean, I can speak to just the social media interaction. That's really where we've been successful in tapping into a fan base that we may not have acquired originally. I don't know that that's new. I mean, I know it's not, but that's what's worked really well for us.
Yeah, I'd say to continue to push to personalize and provide dynamic content, specifically for the restaurant industry. If we're promoting, say a new beef dish to a vegetarian, the likelihood of them being interested are slim to none. So it's finding the ways that you can connect to them and surprise that email member that doesn't take manual effort, that can be automated, but it's taking a step back and saying, what are our goals? What do we want to set up? And then aligning everything to that so that that interaction is so much more meaningful.
Kelly, I think there was some talk of Koozies for the panel. Do we?
Yeah, I'll go back and get those for you. You just wait
make
here.
Sure I get my koozie. You stole my answer. It's we just came out of our annual meeting, and the #1 roadmap strategy for us is make it personal. Maybe that's just a new way of saying relevant. We're all sick and tired of saying relevant, but I think we're going to really stay true to that. Again, for Motley Fool visitors, they are highly motivated, and they want content that they can use and is actionable. And so based on what we know about them, deliver that type of content. So I suppose that is relevancy, but we'll call it make it personal.
I would say, if you guys are part of organizations that are still siloed, the one, I think a lot of people, the dynamic, relevant, personalized, all that kind of stuff is pretty straightforward, but I think one of the things that I would do is challenge your social team, who's probably pouring a lot of money into Facebook right now, and actually, if you're not doing it now, leverage all of the data that you have with regard to email, whether it's different types of segments, whether active, inactive, and go on Facebook and try and acquire new people, acquire new fans, and really leverage Facebook, because it is an incredible platform with a lot of data. And I also call out to leverage Experian's data as well, shameless plug. And I also have to say surprise and delight, because no one said that yet, so I have to say that.
Orgel?
Perfect. Hey, I want to thank our panelists here. Because we are running a few minutes behind, we're actually going to cut cut questions, and then we've got actually some announcements around the activities today. So let's thank the panelists.